Sometimes it's hard even with, we put them in a box so fast today, and we're going, okay, I think we got this marked right, and we did. So anyway, so things are a little bit mixed up, but that's all right, because what it does is it proves that while they do look similar, or a little different, they do look very much the same. We do know who they are, but I'm looking at them, some of the other ones. But that's okay, this stuff happens even with those of us who supposedly know what we're doing. So, Magellan. Magellan came into Liberty at the same time as the sticker did, so 2003. He's another imprinted bird, but he's imprinted for a different reason. When he came into Liberty, he actually had punctures in the top of his head that were indicative of possibly being grabbed by a red tail. Red tails will grab greyhorn babies and vice versa. That's one of the things that they do. They will predate on each other's babies occasionally because of that whole thing about red tails living in the same areas where greyhorn owls do. So if you see a red tail by day, you look at night, same area, and find these guys there. These punctures that were on top of his head actually went all the way through his skull. So they were very deep punctures, and he was very small. He was only 6 inches taller, so he came to us. So he was very little. And at that point, he was probably in the pre-imprinting phase of his life, because we don't know exactly when that happens. But he had to be handled 3 times a day by the medical team to actually have, what do I say, maggots taken out of the hole. And so those had to be taken out with little tweezers first. Then he needed to have several saline flushes to clean that space out so that it would heal appropriately. But in the course of having the saline treatment and all the other medical work that he needed, he was handled 3 times a day by people who couldn't wear the camouflage because you need to be able to see what you're doing when you're doing medical work. And so the end result is he is imprinted on people, but only because he was handled so much in the course of his treatment. So we tried very, very hard, as Claudia explained, by wearing the camel burqas and using the puppets and whatnot to try to keep them from being imprinted on people. But when we have to do so much medical work to save their life, sometimes they do become imprinted on us. At first we thought this might be a female bird because it was growing into having big feet and kind of had that big girl kind of look. Because in birds of prey, the females are 1/3 larger than the males. So this became Maggie. Well, once Maggie grew up, we finally realized that Maggie wasn't big enough or heavy enough to be a female. So it was switched to Magellan. So sometimes naming is very creative. And occasionally we'll have a bird who gets a male name and just keeps it even though it lays an egg. Once you've had a bird for 6 or 8 years and it suddenly surprises you with an egg, you go ahead and leave them who they are. And speaking of eggs, we were going to bring 4 greyhorn owls, and that wouldn't have been confusing because she does look very different from these 3. It's a female. These are all 3 males. She's much larger than they are. These guys weigh around 900 grams each. She weighs close to 1,200 grams. But she went into nesting mode today and is sitting on a scrape in the corner of her view and won't come up from it, so we're assuming she is now sitting on an egg. Claudia and I have been doing this little chant for 2 weeks. I'm hoping that when we saw this breeding behavior starting in her, that she would not lay an egg until after tonight. But she apparently did it this afternoon. She said, I am not going anywhere. You can't take me. So she's not with us tonight, and she will probably be off program now for several weeks while she goes through the cycle of having this nest. She doesn't have a roommate. She didn't get a raising baby.